Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben. If you were listening to yesterday's episode, it was all about what jobs need to be done in the allotment and garden. So if you've not listened to that episode, make sure you do go back and listen to that episode after you've listened to this one, obviously. So yeah, that's explaining about all the jobs, what you can be doing in the garden, preparing for the year ahead and the months ahead. So make sure you do listen to that episode. So today's episode is going to be about what you can still plant in the garden in October, in the vegetable garden, in the flower garden and in the fruit garden. So make sure you sit back, relax and enjoy today's episode, and make sure you make some notes as well, or feel free to re-listen to it as well afterwards. And if you're a new person to this podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our episodes, and feel free to share it on your Instagram stories as well. It's always good to see who's been watching it, and feel free to tag me in it as well, and hopefully we'll get some more listeners as well. So please do keep sharing it with your friends and family. So let's find out what can be planted in the vegetable garden this month. So first up, we have asparagus crowns. These can be planted this month, but make sure you plant them in well prepared beds. So if you're wanting to grow some asparagus, because it is expensive to buy in the shops, plant them this month, your crowns. Broad beans. You can start sowing winter hardy versions of broad beans outside now, ready for an early crop next year. And there's some benefits into planting broad beans this month, because they'll be ready before the black flies come out. So if you leave them till next year and plant them later in the year, you get all the black flies on them. So if you grow them now, you'll avoid getting all the black flies on them. Cauliflowers. Sow an all year round crop this month and keep them growing in a greenhouse, and then plant them out in springtime. Garlic. Now I've just planted all my garlic. Someone on our site mentioned, oh, you're planting that early, but nope, now is the time to be planting your garlic. You need to be getting it in before the frosts come. The reason being is that the frost helps split the bulb and it gets it growing like a garlic should do. So you need to be planting your garlic this month. You can either use the supermarket garlic, which I've used and it did fantastic this year, or you can use the special ones which you can buy from garden centres. Green manure. Green manure can be sown in your empty beds this month. Just sow it all in the beds, and then what you do is dig it back into the ground, and it add nutrition back into the ground. Lettuce. You can sow winter varieties of lettuce this month outside, or if you've got a polytunnel, why not keep growing it in your polytunnel? Onions. You can also grow autumn onion sets this month. Now these can be purchased obviously from garden centres and from shops all over. You can actually sow certain varieties of peas as well this month, but they do need to be a winter hardy version. You can't be just planting normal peas. You've got to look out for the ones that can be grown through winter. Spring onions. You can start these off in cold frames or on underclotches or in polytunnels, and obviously you can be harvesting them in spring, hence the name spring onions. So why not get some spring onions growing this month? And some winter salad leaves. You can also grow plenty of varieties of winter salad leaves that can be sown this month. Fruit. Now autumn is a good time to be planting those fruit bushes and fruit trees. So if you're wanting to plant blueberries, plant them this month, but make sure you plant them in herbaceous compost, as that gives them the best results. They definitely do need to be in herbaceous compost. So what I've done, I've planted them in tubs with herbaceous compost in, and then I've sunk them into the ground for great results. And fruit trees, these can be planted this month. They do say that it's best to plant fruit trees in autumn, winter, as it rains a lot and it will help the roots settle in. So think about which fruit trees you'd like to grow and get them growing. Rhubarb crowns, also it's ideal time to be planting them now while the crowns are dormant, but remember, you can't pick them in the first year. You need to let them settle in and get the roots going, so you can't be tempted to pick those rhubarb in the first year. Let them settle in and then you'll get great crops the year after. So that is everything that you can be planted in the fruit garden. What flowers can you plant in October? So now is a perfect time to be planting all the spring bulbs. I've started planting mine. I've got my daffodils planted. I've also got all my bulbs in from last year, but I'm still going to be looking for lots more bulbs to plant down at the allotment. So you can plant your allium bulbs. The bees will absolutely love these. They're part of the onion family and they have a big blue head, and I think you can get white ones as well. So why not try growing some alliums? Aquilegia. Start sowing these this month in a warm greenhouse for planting out in spring. Clematis. If you're wanting to grow clematis along something trailing, now is the perfect time to be planting your clematises. Cornflowers. Sow these directly in the ground for blooms next year. Next one is daffodils, and like I said, I've been planting loads of daffodils. You can get some really good bargains on great daffodil bulbs. So if you're wanting to grow them, plant a load this month. Remember to plant them in clumps. They look better in clumps rather than just like individual rows. So plant quite a few in an area and get them all in the ground. Hollyhock. Sow all these this month and keep in your cold greenhouse over winter for planting out in spring. Poppies. You can sprinkle these directly into the ground this month for some great displays next year. Primulas. Sow primula plants in the ground this month for colour in the garden over the winter. Sweet peas. You can actually start these off this month. In the house, I've shared tips on how to start sweet peas off. I start them off in a Tupperware box first, get them all sprouting, then plant them into individual pots or cells, and then you can plant them out in springtime and they will be a stronger plant and probably produce better flowers. Winter pansies. Plant out your winter pansies this month to add some colour to the garden where the bare plants have been taken out. So that is everything that you can plant this month in October. I hope you found it useful. Remember, you can listen to the episode again if you've missed anything, and until next time, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.